At-will employment means either the employer or the employee can terminate the employment relationship at any time for any reason, as long as it's not illegal. At its core, at-will employment is considered a form of contractual freedom because it allows both employers and employees to enter into an exit from employment arrangement with minimal restrictions. However, this freedom is subject to criticism for not always being equally distributed between employers and employees. Critics argue that freedom is often more theoretical than practical, especially for employees who may not have the leverage to negotiate terms or easily find alternative employment. Over time, especially after the New Deal era in the 1930s and the Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s and 1960s, laws and court decisions began carving out exceptions. For example, the National Labor Relations Act of 1935, also known as the Wagner Act, made it illegal to fire employees for being part of a union or engaging in collective bargaining. In education, you cannot fire a teacher just because they are an active member of a teachers' union, and being a member of teachers' union is a legally protected right under the Wagner Act. Doing so would violate the Wagner Act and could lead to legal repercussions such as unfair labor practice charges. If it is determined that the termination was unlawful, the teacher may be entitled to reinstatement to their position with back pay for any lost wages and benefits. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and subsequent laws mandate that an employer cannot discriminate based on race, gender, or age. For example, the Age Discrimination in Employment Act is a federal law that protects individuals who are 40 years of age or older from age-based discrimination in employment. It covers both employees and job applicants and applies to employers with 20 or more employees. The Age Discrimination Employment Act prohibits practices such as age-based hiring or firing decisions, discriminatory job advertisements, and age-based harassment. Suppose you have a teacher nearing retirement age and you are considering letting them go to bring in younger staff. Firing someone based on age would violate the Age Discrimination in Employment Act. Although contracts can override employment at will, not every employee has such contracts. Many teachers are hired with standard contracts that uphold at-will principles, meaning they can be let go at any time for any lawful reason. The fixed-term or just cause contracts are more commonly seen at higher administrative levels or in higher education rather than in K-12 settings. For example, school-level administrators, such as school principals, and school district administrators, such as superintendents, assistant and associate superintendents, and department heads, may have fixed-term contracts that align with academic calendar year. Those contracts are often renewed annually or for a specific term. They may be reappointed based on their performance, the needs of the school, and the policies of the school district or educational authority. Even when contracts do exist, they typically don't provide extensive job security. A high school teacher may be fired for engaging in an inappropriate relationship with a student. This conduct is often considered as a violation of ethical standards and public trust, making it grounds for termination even if the teacher has more contractual or tenure protections. In addition to at-will employment, another employment framework governing the conditions under which an employee can be dismissed is termination for cause. At-will employment allows an employer to terminate an employee for any reason or no reason at all, as long as it's not an illegal reason like discrimination or retaliation. By contrast, termination for cause requires the employer to have a valid, documented reason for firing, often on predefined grounds outlined in employment contracts, employee handbook, or organizational policies. By including for-cause provision in the employment contract, both the employer and the employee have a level of protection. The employer is protected from wrongful termination claims as long as they abide by the contract terms. The employee, meanwhile, has some job security, knowing that they cannot be fired arbitrarily. Termination for cause in educational settings, like K-12 schools and higher education institutions, is often governed by a set of specific criteria influenced by state laws, union agreements, and institutional policies. In both K-12 and higher education settings, the termination process is often more formal and may involve additional steps like hearing or arbitration, especially if the educators are part of a union. Documentation and due process are critical, and failing to adhere to them can expose the institutions to legal risk. Some common reasons for termination in K-12 schools and higher education include, but not limited to, incompetence or ineffectiveness, insubordination, gross immorality, unprofessional conduct, criminal activity, and violation of contract. Here, I focus on incompetence or ineffectiveness. In my next video, I'll focus on insubordination. Incompetence or ineffectiveness is about an employee's inability to meet the educational standards and the performance metrics set by the institution. This is often determined through formal evaluations, student performance, and peer reviews. Consistently receiving low scores on performance evaluations can indicate a misalignment between an employee's abilities and the institution's expectations. Addressing issues of incompetence or ineffectiveness is important for maintaining the quality of education and ensuring that students receive the best possible learning experience. However, if school administrators violate their school district's policy, they do not have a strong case when deciding to terminate an employee's employment. In a recent case, Beriguete v. New York City Department of Education 2016, Felix Beriguete was a teacher who began working for the New York City Department of Education in 2002 and became tenured in 2005. From 2002 to 2012, he received satisfactory annual ratings. In 2013, the teacher was assigned to a new school which helped older students with fewer credits graduate from high school. In that school year, he received a low score of ineffective for his teaching methods based on classroom observations and a good score for how much his students learned based on students' test scores. In early 2015, the assistant principal observed his class and gave him low scores of ineffective in several areas, such as managing students' behavior and leading discussions. The assistant principal also noted that the teacher would teach a demo lesson and he planned to meet with the teacher to discuss improvements. However, the teacher did not receive a copy of this review until later. In May 2015, the assistant principal observed him again and still rated him low. Despite getting good scores for student learning, the teacher received an overall low rating for the 2014 and 2015 school year. The school started a disciplinary process against him, claiming he showed a pattern of poor teaching over 2 years and did not follow certain duties and procedures. During the hearing, different reports and documents were reviewed, including observation reports, peer review reports, professional development documents, agenda and session notes, and teacher improvement plans. The teacher argued that the school did not follow proper evaluation procedures and had wrong motives. he felt his teaching was effective, shown by his good student learning scores. The hearing officer decided that the teacher did not do enough to improve and justified his hearing. In light of the teacher's incompetence and neglect of duty during 2 school years, there existed just cause to terminate the teacher's employment. The teacher argued that the hearing officer's decision was arbitrary and capricious, and the school violated multiple teacher evaluation rules related to the timeframes of the observations and reports, which would have provided him information about his teaching and given him time to improve it. The teacher also argued that he proved that his teaching was effective based on the satisfactory rating he received. The court concluded that the school district's decision of terminating the teacher was legally void and nullified because the firing of the teacher was not done in accordance with the law. The court noted that there was a significant delay in providing feedback to the teacher after his observed lesson in February 2013, with no evidence of professional development support offered after this date. This delay, coupled with the rapid sequence of events leading to an unsatisfactory rating in April 2013, indicated that the teacher was not given a fair chance to address and remedy the alleged deficiencies. The court also found that the performance review process had significant deficiencies that were not merely technical but fundamentally undermined the integrity and fairness of the process. Specifically, there was a significant delay between the observation of the teacher's lessons and the provision of feedback to them. This delay deprived the teacher of the opportunity to promptly address any identified issues and improve their teaching practices. The teacher was not given adequate opportunities for remediation or professional development support after the administrator's observations. This lack of support is important because it prevents teachers from improving their skills based on the feedback received. For example, if a teacher received a written report more than 3 months after the formal observation and just before the end of the school year, they are left with insufficient time to make improvement based on the feedback. Moreover, the schools did not comply with their own rules regarding the timely provision of formal observation reports. In this case, the teacher did not receive the formal observation report from the 2013 and 2014 school year, violating the rule that required teachers to be provided with reports within 90 days of the observation. Then, in the 2014 and 2015 school year, the teacher received most of his reports too late to effectively use them for improving his performance before the next observation or the end of the school year. The court also questioned the objectivity and good faith of the assistant principal in his evaluations and ratings of the teacher. The assistant principal's actions, such as the delayed provision of reports and scheduling conflicts, raised concerns about whether he genuinely intended to help the teacher address his deficiencies. The assistant principal's examples of the teacher's failure were primarily based on minor incidents, suggesting a lack of substantial base for the negative evaluations. Meanwhile, the school dismissed the positive aspects of the teacher's performance, such as the effective measure of student learning ratings and the teacher's history of satisfactory ratings before transferring to the schools. Those positive aspects were not adequately considered in the overall evaluation. The court recognized that the flawed rating process deprived the teacher with a long history of satisfactory performance of the opportunity to improve before receiving 2 years of ineffective rating, ultimately costing him his job. Based on those findings, the court concluded that the hearing officer's determination of incompetence was arbitrary and capricious, and the penalty imposed was excessively harsh, thereby warranting the annulment of the termination decision. From this case, we learned that it's important for educational administrators to follow established rules and timelines for performance evaluations. This included providing formal observation reports within the stipulated time frame to maintain the process's integrity, allow sufficient time between observations and the end of the school year for teachers to implement the changes and improve their practice based on feedback. Delayed feedback diminishes the opportunity for teachers to address and rectify issues in a timely manner. Administrators also needed to ensure that evaluations are conducted objectively, implementing a transparent and consistent evaluation process. This helps in building trust and ensures that teachers clearly understand the criteria and the process of their evaluation. Avoid letting minor incidents disproportionately influence the overall evaluation of a teacher's performance. Recognize and consider the broader context of a teacher's performance, including their past performance history and any external factors that may impact their teaching. Maintain clear and open communication with the teachers regarding their performance expectations and any areas needing improvement. This includes discussing observation reports and improvement plan in details. At the end of this video, here is my question for you. How can you, as educational administrators, create and implement a performance evaluation system that not only maintains rigorous standards, but also creates a nurturing environment where teachers feel supported and empowered to grow professionally? Feel free to leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.